So I'm very happy that I can visit again the Palpung Center here, and I'm especially happy to see that the children is doing very well. And I'm also very happy to see Desin here, and you know, and I'm supposed to talk about dealing or working with emotions. Usually from Buddha's teachings, actually, the main teaching of Buddha, main purpose why he left the palace and went into search was because he saw there are lots of suffering in the human beings, and in all beings, actually. I think most of you know that when he was born, a very great Indian master came and saw him, looked at his body, and then he started to cry. And his father and all the people got very worried. What's wrong with him? There is something very inauspicious or something terrible happening. He said, no, it's nothing like that. It's just that this is going to become a very great man. And I know that when he starts to be functioning in this world, I will not be there any longer. That's why I am sad that I will not be able to see the glory of his activities in the world. That's why I'm feeling sad. But actually, this boy is going to become very great. Either he will become one of the greatest emperors in this world, or he will become one of the greatest teachers in this world. So this Prince Siddhartha, grew up to be a very, very loving and kind boy. There was this story that one time his cousin Devadatta shot, I think it was a swan or something like that, bird, when they were flying in the sky. He shot with his arrow. And then this bird fell down. And this bird fell down in the park where Prince Siddhartha was. So he immediately went there and took him and took the arrow out and tried to, give him life, to give him, to heal him from his wounds. And by the time he was doing that, his cousin arrived. and demanded that the bird be given to him because it's his, because he shot it and he fell down because of his arrow. Prince Siddhartha refused to give him. He says, no, he's not yours, he's mine. Because you were trying to kill him and I'm trying to save him, and it must be the savers who has more authority on the life of that being. So they went to the king to decide who would have more authority on the bird. And then the king said, well, I don't know, but let the bird decide. Put the birds in the middle, and whichever side he goes, it's his. So they did that, and of course bird ran towards the Siddhartha prince, not the other one, because the other one was about to kill him. So in this way, he was very kind and compassionate and wanting to help people. And then he was thinking that he saw that people had lots of different kind of sufferings and problems, that even if he could become one of the greatest emperors, very strong, very powerful, very rich, even then it was not possible to really help all beings to become free from these sufferings. He saw that everybody has to go through 4 unavoidable circumstances. They have to be born or give birth, which was a painful experience. Then get old, and old age, he saw, was not an easy task, easy time, but everybody had to go through that. Then he saw that everybody, one time or another, would get sick, and that's very painful. And he saw that everybody have to die, and that's also not was something that most people feared the most. And he also saw that other than these, there were also 4 problems that everybody had to face in life. There were always in their life something that you wanted and could not get. There were always things that you didn't want, but you got. There were always, times when you lost somebody that you loved and didn't want to lose. And you sometimes met people and circumstances which you hated to come across, but you could not sometimes avoid that. And these 8 things, even if he was the most powerful emperor, could not help to get rid of in all the beings. So when he saw this very clearly, then he saw a monk he asked, what is this person? You know, his looks a little bit different and seems to be doing something. And they said that he's looking for an inner transformation, inner solution. That by transforming your own way of experiencing, you could transform and could deal with all these sufferings and problems that people usually have, which are usually unavoidable. So then he decided to try to go in search of that. And that's why he left his beloved wife, child, kingdom, and everything, and ran away at night, became a monk, took off his own hair by himself, and then walked on his feet to see some of the most famous kind of spiritual teachers at that time. And he studied with them and practiced with them, and he actually was very fast in progressing in transforming himself. But even if he became, extremely good and actually achieved whatever those teachers were teaching, he was not satisfied because he couldn't see that these attainments or understandings were enough to be able to transform the sufferings of the beings. Then he went into kind of a strong, very, very serious meditation and introspection by himself for about 6 years. And as the result of that, after 6 years, he got the, he got the answer, and that's called enlightenment. He understood the causes of the suffering and how to work on that, how to get rid of this. So therefore, when he gave his first teaching in a place called Sarnath, he gave the teachings on Four Noble Truths, which was understanding the problem, the suffering, and then the causes of suffering. That what are the main causes that we have to go through this suffering, pain, problems all the time, and is there a possibility to be free from those sufferings? And if there is, how to train in this? So there he said that he found out that the main causes of the suffering and problems of beings, not just human beings, but all beings, he said are, the Sanskrit word is klesha. Klesha and karma, he said, is the main cause. And what is the klesha? Klesha is a Sanskrit word which is kind of Sometimes it's translated as mind poisons. It's all kind of negative emotions plus deluded, confused, ignorant state of mind. So these two, or these different kind of negative emotions and confusion and ignorance, he said, is the main cause of all the sufferings. And if we can do something about this, that could change, transform ourselves, and we could find a way to live, to be with, or we could deal with all kind of situations and problems and sufferings of the life. So therefore, these negative emotions, from Buddhist point of view, became very, very important. Because that's where, from where all the sufferings come from. And if we could learn how to deal with this, that could kind of transform or change our way of experiencing the life. So what is these negative emotions? Of course, you can count lots of them. They're different. But in short, or in kind of put it into a kind of a class, sometimes we can put it into 5 mind poisons. And this includes also the ignorance. And the first is like anger, hatred, ill will, those kind of state of mind or emotion that you hate someone, you want to harm somebody, you feel very strongly aversion, that kind of emotions. And this group of emotions is said to be one of the most negative emotions, because you wish people harm. And then the second is like too much greed. You only want more and more and more kind of unquenchable desire, greed, too much attachment, too much clinging, things like that. Too much kind of miserliness. This group. And third is jealousy and envy, that you feel unhappy when some other people is doing or having or getting something good, positive, or they're happy or unhappy. Jealousy, envy. And then the next one is arrogance, and kind of negative kind of pride that you look down on people. You feel too much with yourself, kind of an aggrandized kind of state of mind, and see everybody like useless, foolish, and stupid, looking down, that you don't see any positive quality in others. These four negative emotions, and these four negative emotions, he said, actually are coming from confusion, ignorance. These emotions arise because you really don't know what's good for you and what's good for others. And so therefore there's lots of confusion in our mind, lots of misunderstanding about how we are, what we are, what is the nature of all the phenomena, what is the nature of ourselves, and things like that is ignorance. And these five is what brings us suffering. What these five is actually bringing problems, suffering to the world as a society also, he said. To give an example, we have wars in the world. We are going through one now. And if you look into the history of humankind, we can almost say that the history of humankind is more or less history of wars. And wars happen. When the wars happen, we kill each other, we torture each other, we do every possible thing to harm each other. And we think that that's allowed. Like this famous saying goes, everything is fair in war and love. Yeah. So therefore, when we do those things, those terrible things, actually we are inflicting so much suffering on each other. Actually, when there's a war, there's no winner. Everybody lost their loved ones, positions, peace of mind. Everybody suffers on both sides, on all sides. Then why do we make wars? It's a kind of a self-destructing activity. And we do it again and again and again. We don't have to look very far. We know that it's because of hatred. Somehow we create hatred between two countries or two nations or two groups, and then we fight. So anger, hatred is one of the main causes of wars. But not just that. Many wars are fought because of greed. You can easily remember things from the history, even not very far recent. People fought wars because of oil, because of all other things that, you want something from some other people and then created wars. Sometimes wars happen because of jealousy, envy. Sometimes wars happen because of misunderstanding or looking down at each other. So if you look into the true cause, the real cause of these wars, you will find that either one or two or three or all of these negative states of mind are causes of war. And these wars are totally useless because at the end, you have to stop somewhere. You cannot keep on making wars all the time. And after this war is finished, then people have to live as neighbors and like before. So all this suffering that we inflict on each other, actually totally a wastage, totally useless, it's senseless. But we think it's a great thing that we did. But that's one side. It's not just wars and things like that, but if you look in our own life, personal life, if I am under the control of these emotions like hatred, anger, too much kind of greed, too much attachment, too much clinging, too much jealousy, too much arrogance, and also confusion, delusion, it causes so much, disturbance to our mind. It brings suffering, it brings pain, it brings dissatisfaction, it brings, all kind of problem and suffering in our own experience. Nobody would say that, oh, I had such a wonderful day because I was so angry. Things like that. So therefore, the Buddha said that if you really want to find peace, happiness, joy, and some kind of positive solution in our own personal experience, our own personal life, or in the world, we have to try to do something to let go or at least reduce or if possible uproot or transform these negative emotions and states of mind. If we can do that, he said, that will really help us to make our life much more meaningful, happier, and meaningful. So therefore, the Buddha Dharma is basically on that. How to deal with, how to reduce, how to transform our negative states of mind. And, all this including kind of confusion, ignorance, and things like that. And how to develop the positive side of this. That becomes the whole thing, actually. Dharma practice is just that in Buddhism. Of course, he taught many different methods, many different ways on how to do that. So therefore, Buddhism is not really in a way, that's why sometimes people say Buddhism is not a religion. Because it has nothing to do with God. God is, if you believe in God, that's up to you. It's not believe in God, it's up to you. It's nothing to do with God. creator and who made us or where we come from. That's not really the issue. The issue in Buddhism is how to deal with our own negative state of mind, negative emotions, and how to transform that. It's a training. It's a training. So therefore, although he taught lots of different methods, it is said, he said it himself many occasions, that he taught 84,000 different ways. Because he said, people are not all same, and people needed slightly different approaches, different ways, different methods, and things like that, to suit themselves. So therefore, the Buddhist Bible is not one volume. It's 101 volume. That's also not complete. That's just a translation into that language. And I'm sure many lost also, things like that. So what are the, how did we work on this? How did we work on this? Practically. So we can't go through 84,000. It wouldn't work also. So all these different methods kind of these students, the Buddha's followers, great masters of the past, kind of categorized in three kind of ways, three ways. What in Tibetan we call Pang, Jur, She. So three. Pang, Jur, and She. Pang means give up, let go. Jur means transform. She means understand in these three ways. So now, first thing and the most important thing is to really understand that these negative emotions, if it is arising, if it is, if we are having these negative emotions, or we are confronted with these negative emotions, which is very normal. We are so much habituated to react with these negative emotions. And we often think that that's good for us. Many people say, I have right to be angry. Why should I not be angry? Of course, you have all right to be angry, but that's not the question. The question is it really useful? Is it really good? Will it bring something good for you or others? That's the idea. So therefore, to really see, reflect, and understand by each of us that it is harmful. If we hold on to, or if we allow ourselves to be to react to be controlled by these negative emotions, it's not going to bring something good for ourselves, not going to bring something good for others. The more we allow ourselves to be controlled by these negative emotions, the more suffering and pain and problem we inflict on others, and the more we actually inflict on ourselves. To see it very clearly is the first step. Because we are so used, the world is so used, so much habituated to have this, negative emotions, that most of us cannot believe that we can do something about that, or that it's useful to react in another way. So therefore, the first thing is to really deeply understand that these emotions, or acting on these emotions, or doing things under the control of these emotions, would bring something harmful to ourselves and others, now and in the long run. Once that becomes very clear, then we can start to do something. If that understanding is not there, then there's no way we can do anything, because we would not want to do it. Many of us think that, or many people think that anger is good, because without anger, we don't have the energy to fight against injustice or something worthwhile. Many people think like that. And that is, from Buddhist point of view, a misunderstanding. Because, yes, anger gives you strength, or it's powerful. Anger is very powerful. When you are really, really angry, you kind of become fearless. Become fearless for a time, for a short time. And you are able to do things, you are able to say things, you are able to, you are able to jump in front of, people, even if they are holding guns, things like that. You can kill people, you can allow yourself to be killed if you are totally in the, kind of under the control of anger. But one small problem, after you have acted with anger and hatred, and all this energy went up, and you kind of, that flame-like energy went off, then you like, balloon. And then most of the time, anything you have done in anger, you have to regret. There's almost nothing that you do not have to regret what you have done or said in the flame of your anger. Because when you are totally angry, your power of reasoning has gone. So if you have done things too much, you have said things that you usually don't say, you have kind of, yes, there was lots of energy, but you couldn't use that energy in a positive way. And actually, once that energy gone, you're just flat, just tired. Instead of that, it is said from the Buddhist point of view, actually anger and passion come from the same situation. This is how it's said in Buddhism. That you see, for instance, something is happening that should not happen, like injustice. And then you don't like it, you want to change that. But there's two ways of looking at it. One is, these are the people who are doing injustice. They are not good. They are very bad. I get angry at them. And then it becomes anger. Another way of saying is, this is not good. This should not happen. It should be changed. So therefore, these people who are doing it is not good, but they are doing it because they also don't understand it's not good for them either. So therefore, I must do something. We must do something to change this action. We must get rid of this way of doing things for the sake of those who are doing it and for the sake of those who are suffering both. So when our attention or our focus goes on the issue, not on the people, then it becomes compassion. Because we are more interested in changing the situation, not harming or not being angry to some people. That is called compassion. Because we want to do something good. We want to transform something, bring better situation, and free people, both who are doing those negative actions as well as those who are the victim of those actions. So that is good for all. That's called compassion. And the energy that comes out of compassion is not like anger, which is like a flame, but very clear, very directed, very reasonable. And it can be something that is sustainable because you see very clearly that it's good for everybody. It's for them, for those who are kind of inflicting, those who are suffering it, and for everybody. For me also, if I could do something in this, it's good for me. So that kind of energy, because if I see that this, what I do, is going to benefit lots of people. So kind of my intention or my what kind of motivation to work on this becomes very clear and very strong. So therefore, the energy doesn't kind of go away just by doing something one time and flare up and finish. So therefore, we need to cultivate the energy of compassion, not the energy of anger. Anger, hatred. This is a little bit more easy to understand for us, how negative they are. It is more difficult to understand the second one, greed and too much attachment and things like that, because we think greed is good. That's the advertisement these days in the what is called the economy that we are enjoying. Capitalism. I've seen this in television. Greed is good. If you don't buy, you're anti-social. If you don't have greed, you are no good. You are harming everybody. Anti-social. That's the idea. I don't believe it because I was born in a country when I was young, where there was nothing called economy. I was born in Tibet. And I was there not very long, but till about 5 years. And there was nothing called economy because there was no money. There was no nothing. There was no employment. There was no unemployment. There was nothing kind of going up or going down. But as I remember, people were quite satisfied actually. Because you produce your own things. There were two kinds of societies. One kind of animal looking after, we called nomads, but they're not for those kind of nomads who traveled all the time, not that kind of nomads, but they just had yaks and sheep and things like that. And then there were people who were we call the farmers, but they tilled the land and grew the crops and things like that. And they exchanged whatever they needed to each other. That's it. That was the economy, that was the business, that was everything. And if I needed to do something, like if I needed to build a house, I go on top of, hey, I'm going to build a house tomorrow. And then everybody will come, and then you give them some tea and samba. And that's a feast. And samba, samba, what samba is? It's barley roasted and ground. And there are two ways of eating samba. That's very important. No. One is to put butter in the bowl, not water. You can put water also, but tea. Then you put some butter, and then you put samba, and then make a bowl and eat. Another one is you put samba, then some butter, then some tea, and then make a bowl. If you have a bag of samba, that's all you need for 1 month. You have a bowl that you put in your pocket. That's your, what do you call it, crockery? No, huh? Your crockery, or your everything. What is called these spoons and all this?
Utensils.
Huh?
Utensils, is it? Cutlery?
No, utensils, no.
No.
Cutlery.
Cutlery. Huh?
Cutlery.
Cutlery.
Yeah.
Cutlery, crockery.
Difficult.
Anyway, that's not the point. Anyway. No, I was going to. No, I think I should not go into this. Well, that is, but first you need to know this, Okay, now I'll give, let's say one sentence on this. Because greed actually is the suffering. Even if you have a lot, you feel you don't have enough. Yeah. So greed is a suffering. Not having a feeling that you don't have. I don't have. Isn't it a suffering? It's a suffering. It's a feeling of lack, feeling of not having, feeling a hunger. Yeah. So same, like too much wanting, too much greed, too much attachment. We think is a good thing, but actually it's a suffering. Because satisfaction, there's no satisfaction. And to be rich is satisfaction. If you have satisfaction, then you are rich. If you have no satisfaction, you are too poor, isn't it? But we don't understand that. We can be satisfied with lots of things. We can be satisfied with not so much. And in the kind of from the spiritual point of view, how rich you are is not measured by how many or how much you have, but how much satisfied you are. So therefore, this is so anyway, the main thing is that if you see, if you feel that you are kind of feeling any of these negative emotions, and you know that that's not good for you and not good for others, then what you do? The first thing you do is, because you know that this is not good, this is not useful, this is not, so you let go. You allow your mind to not react in this way, at least delay it. If I get angry and I want to put my fist in his nose, then I say, okay, I think I'm going to wait till tomorrow morning because his nose is too beautiful. But it's maybe it's not necessary to do that. And tomorrow it's 100% sure that you would not want to do that, because these negative emotions are very strong. As I said already, if you're really in the kind of heat of these negative emotions, you could kill somebody, or you could even die yourself. But there's one weakness. It's very impermanent. All the emotions are very impermanent. So if you don't react at that moment when you are heat of, you don't want to do it. It's gone. That anger is gone. Tomorrow morning you don't want to do the same. So therefore, the first is to delay the action, postpone the action, to let go of this emotional kind of reaction. Because if you do that, you will be very happy next morning. I didn't do that thing. I'm glad I didn't do that thing. Because it would have been more problem for me and more problem for them. It would not have solved any problem. It would have created more problem. Yeah. So therefore, if I am able to do this, if I'm in a very negative state of mind, and if I delay it, or if I did react, and if I let it go, it gave me a little bit of confidence that yes, actually I can control my emotions. I can be master of myself. I don't have to be the slave of my emotions. That's great freedom. So this way is the first, to let go. Sometimes people say that if you're really angry and something like that, just count up to 10. If you can count up to 10, I want to. Wow. You have the patience to count up to 10, then you don't want to do that. It works. Then the second one is called transforming. That is that, how these negative emotions happen. The three elements has to be there. First is that you are still a samsaric being. You have, you are not enlightened. You have negative emotions in you. Even though you don't have that experience now. That's first. Second is there needs to be, what we can object, a provocation. If there's no provocation, you don't have, sometimes people say, oh, you look so peaceful and, you are always, kind and, you don't seem to be angry at all. I say, why should I be angry when everybody is so nice and kind to me? Of course I would not be angry, unless I'm totally mad. Because, there's no provocation. If there's a provocation, then you see. So the second is provocation. And then there's third thing. Even if I have the object provocation, but if I don't focus in a wrong way, if I don't see it in a negative way, I don't get it. So this third one is very important. So if somebody says something not so nice to me, and that's, I have already 2 points, two. But if you say, well, she says that, but there's a misunderstanding. Or, somebody must have misinformed the person. Or, maybe there's some truth in it. So maybe I have to change myself. If I can see like this, I don't need to get angry. But if you say, oh, how can you say that? So this way, the third one is important. So therefore, if I start to focus my mind in a right way, in a good way, I could transform it. Every time, or in another way, if I am getting angry and upset, or any of these negative emotions happening, and then I can, His Holiness Dalai Lama was saying this often in his birthday last time, and before that also he was saying, if you want to really wish me a good birthday, he said, the best way to give me the wish me the best birthday is that when you have a negative state of mind, remember my face, remember me. That would be the best birthday wish. Because usually when you see Dalai Lama, you feel, a little bit. He's always laughing, It's very strange, I was few times really astonished because he gives teachings to thousands of people, and most of them don't understand anything. Because he's teaching something very high, very deep, like emptiness and all these things. But they're all sitting like this all day. They're not going out. Yesterday, I was told a story by one of my friends. He himself had this. One of the times I was teaching in Scotland, and this person came to the teaching, and then he was there. And he had some kind of accident, and he had lots of injuries, but he came and he stayed throughout. And then I met him, and he said, "Oh, I didn't understand anything. What is this imputation? Imputation?" He said 1,000 times imputation. He was talking about imputing, some very, He said, "I don't understand anything," but he was there all day, 4 days, like. We did actually an experiment in Germany, Frankfurt. There was one day for the general public, and another day for Buddhists, and then another day on some very, very kind of complicated philosophical issue. And everybody thought that on the general thing, lots of people will come. And Buddhist things, most of the Buddhists will come. And then only few will come. But on all days, everybody came. And on all days, everybody's came. And I asked someone, "Did you understand?" He says, "No, but it was nice." So it's like that. Anyway, so if you can focus your mind on something very positive, very inspiring, or something like that, then you don't, that's why we have all these deities. I don't know these deities. Photos are anything inspiring to you or not, but it's somebody, it's supposed to be somebody who is, who has the, limitless compassion, limitless wisdom, like somebody, a bodhisattva or Buddha, as think about is somebody who is like someone who is like your most trustworthy friend, but not just your friend, but who unconditionally loves you and has the most deepest wisdom. If there is somebody like that, if you have a friend like that, and then if you remember how would you feel? Something of this kind. So transforming. Because how you feel at any moment is not about what's going on, but where you focus your mind. At any moment, lots of good things happening in the world. Lots of good things happening in your life. Lots of bad things happening. Lots of bad things happening maybe to yours in your life too. If your mind is totally focused on something positive, good, you feel good, you feel happy, you feel joyful. If you focus your mind on something negative, on something bad, You feel bad, you feel sad, you feel unhappy. No, that's so. Therefore, learning and training to know where to focus your mind. That way, you can transform your mind. The second is transforming, and the third is understanding. Like our emotions is just our thoughts. And if you look actually at, where is our thoughts coming? Where is our emotions coming? What is the nature of our emotions? Our emotions are just, arising in our mind. It doesn't come from anywhere. It just arising within ourselves. One emotion comes, goes, another emotion comes, goes, another emotion comes, goes. Some good thoughts come, some good emotions come, some not so nice emotions come, they go also, They just come and go, they just come and go. They arise within me, they dissolve within me, there's nothing coming from anywhere else. So if we know that every emotion, whether it's anger, whether it's hatred, whether it's greed, whether it's compassion or kindness, it just arises within you, dissolves within you. It's like waves in the ocean. One wave comes, goes, another wave comes and goes. So when you know that all are like that, so there's nothing so concrete there. There's no something that will overpower you, or if you don't express it, then something terrible happens. There's nothing like that. It's just these are temporary, impermanent, fleeting, arising and going, arising and going, arising and going. Yeah. So when you understand this, you can let it come, let it go. It's like waves. It comes and goes anyway, and you don't have to be so take it, so badly or seriously. One wave is very good, one wave is not good. Whatever comes and goes. So when you understand this, then anything can, it can come, go. So it doesn't need to, control you. You don't need to become a slave of any of these emotions. You can become totally spacious, and all these things can go and pass, because you know that there's nothing so strong and solid and overpowering, because you know its nature, you know the nature of this fleeting state of mind. So it's not so you can deal with it anyway. So this is the most important and kind of deepest way, because you really truly understand the nature of it. So therefore, you can, if you know this, you have the secret of your emotions. It's nothing solid. It's nothing so, so concrete. It's just fleeting. So these three ways. So if we know how to deal with this, these three ways, then we can let the negative emotions go. And we don't need to be so attached to our positive things also. But it's much useful. What is the positive? Positive is kindness, compassion, and wisdom. The all negative emotions, the opposite of all negative emotions, whether it's anger, whether it's greed, whether it's jealousy, whether it's arrogance, is actually kindness and compassion. And this is something, that we all appreciate. I don't think there's anybody here who would say that I like people to be unkind to me. Yeah. Nobody wants people to be unkind to you. People enjoy, people wish, people crave for people to be kind to you. Yeah. And then, not only that, but if I myself feel kind and loving, I feel myself much more peaceful, much more joyful. If I feel angry and negative, I feel bad. My mind is disturbed. But if I feel kind and compassionate, I don't feel disturbed. So it's better for me. It's better if I do it for myself. Better if I do it for others. Then why don't we do it? Yeah. And if everybody was kind and compassionate to each other, we have created a heaven on the earth already. It doesn't need 1,000 years, it doesn't need 100 years, it doesn't need even a year. Tomorrow we have heaven on earth. There's no war tomorrow, there's no conflict, there's no atrocities. Just need to change our way of seeing and the way of feeling. When it is so important and so useful, why not do it? At least start from myself. So this is, and this compassion and wisdom. Wisdom is, like this third one out of this third solution or third way of dealing with is more wisdom, because if you understand the nature of the emotions, and therefore it's more wisdom. Wisdom is to see how the things really are. So these three kind of broad ways, if we practice, if we train, the method is mindfulness. First, we need to understand that, negative emotions create problem. Positive emotions create solution in us and in others and for the whole society. So therefore, what we have to do is little bit watch how we are, and what's happening. We always look outside. What this person is doing, what that person is saying, what is happening there, or who's doing what. We are always, looking out. But with mindfulness, we little bit look in. What am I feeling? What am I reacting? How am I, what's going on in me? In my thoughts, in my emotions, in my speech, in my actions, what's going on? So when I know what is going on, then remember what I am supposed to do. mindfulness is described in Tibetan language as being aware of what is going on and remembering what to do then. This is mindfulness, you know. So therefore, you know, if I'm experiencing some kind of negative emotions, then say it's not good, it's not necessary, it's not useful to react in that way. So I stop doing it. I can use any of these methods. And if I feel that I'm having a positive reaction, positive negative emotion, and then I rejoice at that. And doing just that again and again is the practice. It's practice, it's meditation, it's everything. We cannot say we have no time, because no time is required. Yeah, just a little bit of mindfulness. And if we do that, we are practicing Dharma. Of course, if we can do meditation, that's also for that. If we do prayers and pujas and sadhanas, that's also for that. And we should really make it very clear that anything practiced we do Dharma, it is for this, to work on our. If it doesn't work on this, then that means it's not true practice of Dharma. If we do it, then it is real practice of Dharma. So I think that's all I want to say. And I'm already a little bit over time, but if you have any questions.
Delighted you're running over time.
Huh?
So delighted you're running over time. Thank you for being so generous.
Any questions?
Would you consider fear as a negative emotion?
Yes.
This is a very strong. So
Yeah, fear is the basic cause of most of the negative emotions. You know? Usually, like why you get angry? Most of the time because you fear that some harm is going to happen to you, and that. But some people think that you need to have fear in order to protect yourself. From Buddhist point of view, that's wrong. We don't want to kind of have problems, you know, or danger, things like that, because we have wisdom, we have intelligence. We don't want to be harmed. We don't want to have problems because we're intelligent, and we want to avoid. We can avoid the dangers, and not because of fear, but because of wisdom. Yeah. Some people say that, oh, we can avert dangers because of fear. That's not the case, because the fear usually brings panic, and that's more dangerous. Yeah. We can see this, you know, when you drive on this and you have a little chicken, and that chicken gets panicky, runs here, runs there, and then gets stuck. It happens to us also, you know. Yeah. We were, when I was young, when I was in Delhi first time, we were taught how to cross the roads. And the first thing they said was, don't be afraid, don't be panicked. because in Delhi and many of the Indian cities, especially that time, now, even now, not so much. There's no crossroads. There is no red lights. Even if there's red lights, nobody cares. And then down the road, there is like lorries, there is cars, there's bullock carts, there's elephants, there's camels, there's all kind of, things. So you can't stop till the things stop, you can't. So you have to cross. So when you look up and you look down and you look up and then you feel that there's a little bit gap, you slowly walk, slowly, very slowly, without any fear. And then you see that cars are coming from this and that side, and then you don't run. You don't run. If you run, finished. You just stand up. You just stand up, make yourself as flat as possible, and let the cars, go from this side, that side, and then it's a little better. Then you slowly walk again. And if you are not panicked, you will get through. If you panic, you don't. So it's very important. Yes.
When you spoke of the negative emotions of hate and anger, now I know that hate can never be virtuous, but is there a case sometimes where anger can be? We say, for instance, I'm going down here to see and I see somebody beating a dog. My initial thing would be anger, but in that case, is anger sometimes a good thing?
As I said earlier, that anger should not become anger, but compassion. If you can make it compassion, if you can, stop that beating, either giving a boxing to this person, or by pressuring him not to do that, or whatever way, not because you hate him, but because it's good for him that he's not doing that. No.
But should one then not fear the emotion of anger at times? Is it sometimes a good thing to have the anger emotion?
Because if you do it with anger, then usually you say something, you do something which is not so effective, because you make him maybe more angry. Yeah, you shout at that person, and you maybe make him more angry. And if you are angry, you feel not, your mind is disturbed also. And then you are not very clear what is the best way to stop it. Yeah, you should be very clear how to. Of course, we all get angry, and that's okay. We will, if we stop doing something negative, that's okay. But ideally, it's much more fruitful and much more useful if you can do it with, with kindness. But what actions you have to take, that, you can take a very strong action, like bringing police, or, even like, if you are able to, but not with anger, but in order to stop this action. Things like that.
Like the fact that I'm angry at it. If
Like,
I walk
for
back-
instance, this in America, there was this incident, this one black man was doing something wrong, and then the police came on, and he pressed his so much, but he died. If the policeman was not angry, he wouldn't have killed him. He would have stopped this person doing whatever negative thing he was doing. but he would not have killed him. But if you're angry, you could kill him. Yeah. So then it's it's not so good. Yeah. So things like
Following on with the theme of anger, why? I mean, earlier on you were saying that there needs to be an input for your anger to be sort of to rise, if you like. Why would I be angry when I stub my toe? I mean, why am I so angry when I hit my thumb with a hammer? Because I'm doing it to myself.
that's habit.
Is it?
That's habit. Actually, you shouldn't be. Why should you?
I know.
Because
I should feel sorry for myself.
you should be sorry. You should. How stupid I am. But not stupid I am. You know, but we become that. You know, that's become like a habit now. So yeah, and actually we are not really angry. We sometimes say that I'm angry, but it's not really anger, you know. But you feel not good at yourself that you did this foolishly. That's why.
You mentioned that you would need some sort of provocation to become angry. Is it not sometimes sufficient to have some sort of trigger?
Yeah, that's the provocation. Yeah.
Yeah. So something, perhaps it isn't directly a provocation, but it's something you associate with.
Yeah.
Something.
Anything. You know,
Yeah.
any
Provocation sounds so direct, so
Yeah.
immediate threats or.
Yeah, it could be anything.
Yeah.
You can be just, you know, there's nothing happening now, but you can think about something that happened before, or you know,
Yeah.
or something.
Something which perhaps
Object.
even unconsciously starts you off.
Yeah.
Rinpoche,
Yes.
I'm thinking of the anger that many people feel when someone they love has died, and they can feel very, very, very angry. And sometimes I think that has a protective factor, that anger can keep us able to get up in the morning and do what we need to do, that it can keep us alive while we're suffering so much. Does that make sense?
It never makes sense to me that people are angry when somebody dies.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah, that's the difference. Yeah,
because I think it's maybe because of the culture.
yeah, that's the
I
difference.
can, you know, I can be very sad.
Sure.
I can be
Yeah.
really, you know, very unhappy. But
More selfish.
I can't be angry because angry to whom?
Yeah.
You know, this person who died. I mean, he died. He didn't want to. You know, it's not that. And then, you know, to whom? Anger has to have some angry towards somebody. Yeah. I never understood this.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was thinking a lot about this because I met lots of people who were very angry because somebody died, somebody near died. And then I didn't understand this. And then sometimes I feel maybe it's coming from this, you are angry with God, you know, because when you believe that everything is made by God, and then somebody whom you really love died, why is taking away my, you know, this may be possibility.
But isn't that selfishness?
Huh?
Isn't that selfishness? To be selfish because you've lost someone that has been taken away from your life. Is it somehow selfish to be selfish?
Is it because it's an attachment?
An attachment? Yeah.
No, it's, of course there is all these things, but, you know, if you're angry with God, I don't know. You know, first, is it really the God who is taken out? And where is God? I mean, it's anyway, it's a cultural thing, I think. But
Maybe sometimes people.
there's something good coming out of that I don't know.
I suppose it's very interesting for me to hear you say that about the cultural differences. Now, you don't understand that. That's very interesting for me.
Because I've never heard anybody saying
Yeah.
in India or
Sure.
Nepal
Yeah.
that somebody died and I'm very angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never heard this. In the West, I've heard a lot.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I suppose what I wonder is like is about the protective factor involved, that my anger protects me in the beginning after a devastating loss. It protects me, it keeps me alive. It's very different culture.
Why would you be angry?
Yeah.
How can anger keep you alive?
And because of the energy associated with anger, it can help me keep going, get up in the morning, have my food, get dressed. It can help
But you
me.
can do that without anger too.
Yeah, maybe it's not anger destroying.
Yeah.
But I suppose the opposite of that is really being overwhelmed by the grief.
It's
So-
very interesting the whole cultural differences you have highlighted there. It's very interesting for me.
I guess it's if you have so many emotions, it's a way to channel it into a certain direction, which gives you relief.
You're surviving because you want to survive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why not? You know, I don't want to. I don't want to be bogged down. Or I don't want to be finished by this grief that, or whatever. I've lost something that's not good, but I wouldn't be defeated by that. If you want to think that way. So I wouldn't be finished. I will keep on doing. That's not anger. That's from my point of view.
Sure.
That's not anger, but that's the determination.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the problem, or not the problem, but the idea is that lots of things, emotions, you think is anger, is not anger, I think. Like, if I hurt my thing, I get angry. It's not really anger, no? I mean, why should I get? Well, maybe a little bit. To myself, how foolish I am, Blaming.
Yeah.
Kind of. Anyway, so thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.